Hello everyone and welcome to a new Cloud Genius video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can launch your very own EC2 instance in a very simple step-by-step guide. For the example of this video, our instance is going to be hosting a really simple website that's going to display the IP of the instance and also the availability zone where the instance is located. Now you can do whatever you want with your instance. This is just for the sake of the example and it's going to be a really simple tutorial again. I'm going to be doing a much more in-depth video on EC2 in the future where we're going to be going over auto-scaling groups, application load balancers, instance types, and much more. So make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of that. Now, having said this, let's get straight into it, guys. The first thing we want to do is go into the EC2 panel right here and just click on launch instance. Okay, so we have a lot of options right here. As you can see, the name and tags, application and OS images, the instance type, the key pair, the network settings, the storage, and also in the bottom, the advanced details. So we are going to be messing with these settings and launching again a really simple instance. It's nothing difficult, just really simple. So let's get straight into it, guys. The first thing, the name, we are going to be naming this instance our first instance, my first instance. And now we get into the first real setting, the application and OS images, Amazon machine image. So an Amazon machine image is basically a template that contains the software configuration, the operating system, the application server, and applications that are required to launch your instance. In our case, we are going to be leaving the Amazon Linux one selected, and even inside the Amazon machine image, you have different variations and options. We are going to be leaving the default one, Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. So this is the first setting right here. For the architecture, the first setting is okay, 64-bit 86. Okay, now for the username, we have EC2 user. We are going to be using this later to connect to our instance. Just remember, it is important. Okay, now we get into the next setting, the instance type. I could make a whole video on instance types because there is so many options. It is absolutely crazy. You can see the scroll just goes on and on and on. And some of these instances are grayed out because they are not available in this specific location or region or availability zone, but there is so many options here. Okay, now we're gonna be going with T2.micro. T2 is the family of instances, as you can see, and micro is the specific instance. So you can see we have T2.nano, T2.small, and even up to T2.2x large, which is the biggest one of the T2 family, which has 8 virtual CPUs and 32 gigs memory. Our instance is going to have 1 virtual CPU and 1 gigs of memory, which is pretty small, but this is just for the sake of the example. Now keep in mind, selecting the correct instance type is really crucial for the job or the task that the instance has to take on. Now we also have some crazy options right here. For example, just to show you the computation power that you can find here, you have X2 IEDN 30x large, and you can see we have 128 virtual CPUs and 4096 gigs of memory. That's absolutely nuts, but we're going to be staying with our T2.micro instance for this tutorial. Next up, the key pair. You can use a key pair to securely connect to your instance. So we're going to be creating a new key pair right here and entering the name demo for this video. For the encryption, RSA is fine, and the private key file format, you have two options, .pem for OpenSSH and .ppk for PuTTY. So we're going to stick with .pem. Okay, so click on create key pair. Now there is some permissions that we need to change in this file, so locate it, right click and go into properties right here, go into security and click on advanced. We are going to be editing our permissions right here. So click on disable inheritance, remove all inherited permissions from this object, add, select the principal, enter your username, no one else, and then just leave read and execute and read selected. Okay, apply, okay, and we are good to go. Now, if you don't understand what just happened, we just adjusted some permissions for the actual key pair file in order to be able to connect, and it is something that is required. And as you can see, it is selected once you click on download your key pair. Okay, for the network settings, I'm not going to go into much detail. Networking is some of the most difficult things that you can find yourself just managing in AWS. We're going to be leaving the default VPC, the default subnet. In my case, I have a subnet C. Just make sure that your subnet has auto assign IPv4 address selected if you know what you're doing. If not, just leave the default settings right here. Now for the firewall or the security groups, we're going to be creating our own security group right here. We're going to be allowing SSH traffic from anywhere, although you could select your IP address. Remember, this is a simple tutorial on how you create your instance, but for organizations, you have to keep in mind that security is very important, and every single step that can be taken to guarantee security has to be taken. So in our case, we are going to be leaving it from anywhere. Remember, you're going to be needing our key pair, and I don't think anyone has my key pair right now, or at least quantum computing has not yet arrived to that point. And also, we are going to be allowing HTTP traffic from the internet because we want to serve this website, as I was mentioning before. So that's pretty much it for our network settings. Now for the storage, EC2 instances have EBS, elastic block storage by default. You can see that the root volume has 8 GB of GP3 general purpose SSD right here selected. Remember that this storage is not saved anywhere. So if you terminate your instance, you're gonna be losing everything. So keep that in mind as always, just as a important detail. Now for the advanced details, we are going to be adding a script right here in our user data, which is a simple bash script. You can see that it has 3 steps. So the first one is updating the system. These are Linux commands, of course. Sudo yum update y for yes, install Python 3 and pip3. So sudo yum install Python 3 pip y, and again, Python is going to be installed by default, by the way. It's not installing Python. Install Flask and request sudo pip3 install Flask requests. All right, so this is something that we're going to be needing for our website. I'm going to be using Flask for our website. So that's pretty much it, guys. Just click on launch instance right here. You can see right here, this is our instance ID. If we click it, we are only going to be seeing our instance right here. Again, we're filtering by the ID of the instance right here. And if we click on the instance right here, you're going to be able to see a lot of details, status and alarms, monitoring, security, networking, storage, and tags. So a lot of information from the start, but this is amazing. Like, the amount of information that this panel offers is crazy. And you can see all the important information right here: the private IPv4 address, the public IPv4 address, the security group, the VPC, everything. All right, the platform details, Linux, everything that you want to see is right here in the details page. It's kind of the overview. Now we need to wait for the status check to be 2 out of 2. You can see that the instance is already running, but the status check is initializing. So let's wait until there is 2 out of 2 checks passed. By the way, you can see the availability zone as well right here, EU West 3C. Okay, just as an important note, the most important information is right here in this row, but again, everything is in these tabs down here. By the way, monitoring is not enabled by default for this instance. Again, we're doing the free tier for the example. All right, so we have 2 out of 2 checks passed. Now we are going to be connecting to our instance via OpenSSH. So we are going to be copying the public IPv4 address right here, and we are going to be opening up CMD. So we are going to be connecting SSH, then the location of our key pair, in my case downloads, and this is the only thing I have in my folder. So okay, now EC2 user, as I mentioned before, this is the username that we're going to use to connect. And lastly, the IPv4 address, the public IPv4 address. We're going to click enter, then go yes, and we are connected to our instance. We're going to clear. Right now we can see that I have Python installed. Yep. And we are good to go. Now we're going to be creating our application. So let's do nano, which is a text editor, app.py for Python. And we are going to be pasting this script. All right, so let's do Control O, enter, Control X, and now you can do cat app.py to see the script. So this is a really simple script, guys. I'm not going to go over every single detail. Just keep in mind, we're going to be hosting the website via Flask with this Python script. Really simple, not anything fancy, just a website. So let's clear and let's do sudo for max permissions, sudo python 3, and then app.py. All right, so you can see right here, running on all addresses, running on HTTP and running on HTTP. So our instance should be live. So let's go ahead and open the address, the public IPv4 address of our instance. Let's see if it is working as it should be. All right, it is taking a while, but it should be good. All right, so it took a while, but it finally loaded up. Keep in mind, the first time you load your instance, it might take a while, but it is live. As you can see, this is the public IPv4 address. Anyone can access this instance right now. And we can see the private IPv4 address right here. You can check it out in the instance summary right here. This is a private IPv4 address, right? and it is exactly the same. The region, which is EU West 3, and obviously the country, we are in Paris. This data center is in Paris. So this is pretty much it, guys. We have our instance up and running. You can see we actually got the GET request right here when I loaded up the website, and we got a 200, which is obviously success, and 404 for the fav icon, because we don't have a fav icon, as you can see right here. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is how you can launch your first EC2 instance. You can see in the monitoring tab right here, if we go into the custom 5 minutes, you can see that we had some network out bytes and network in our request, of course, from my IP address, and the CPU utilization is was at 10% at one point with only one request. So that just tells you that this instance is just for testing purposes, and it is not going to be able to handle a lot of traffic. Pretty simple, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to be going over every single comment. I'm starting off with the channel. I'm pretty excited about it, and I really want to bring and add value to you guys. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you want to see next, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.